I know, the title sounds crazy, right? So previously, Tony was saying Cuban is a pussy, he invited Cuban plenty of times to come see him, and they would whoop his ass, plural, which means it wouldn't be a one-on-one. Mentioned his face getting sliced, you're embarrassing Big Pun, living off his coattails, you're not repping Pun right, he brings up the cock slap and calls Nonstop a bozo and says he didn't slap Tony, said Cuban got a fake guy to go up there and claim to be the one that did it. Tony says Cuban always saying how he beat people up, but Tony had posted a video of Cuban getting punched by BX Hova, and Cuban didn't do anything. He also talks about the Connecticut story when TS got into it with some people, and Cuban said Tony was hiding underneath the sink. Tony said people have pulled out 50 guns, and if you find shelter under a sink, then that's what you're gonna do.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Tony says Cuban got beat up in that situation and left the club with one sneaker on. Side note, Cuban has confirmed there were like 50 guns and TS was still down to fight, and he did leave with one sneaker on, but he still fought. Tony goes on to call Cuban fake and a drug addict, saying he got DMs from girls saying Cuban owes them money for drugs. We get all that. So apparently this wasn't an interview. It was a private conversation that was recorded and put out without Tony knowing. Those are the claims right now. It's also being said that the conversation lasted for 5 hours, but now there's a new clip that has been released where Tony can be heard saying, why hasn't Cuban beat anyone up in TS yet? Why hasn't he caught a charge? Why hasn't he smacked Pistol Pete or Raul or beat up Tony Sunshine or come to shoot up the store Up NYC that Joe owns? Tony goes on to say he's on his positive energy-ish and he's a changed man. Says Fat Joe doesn't give him any money at all. He gets money from doing shows. He says everything he owns he buys himself and Joe doesn't buy it. Tony says don't involve me in street-ish and don't implicate me because we not in the streets. Tony says Cuban is so consumed with hate and he's a bum-ass ninja that sits at home waiting for a check or calls someone to put money in his pocket. He says Cuban has never been a get money ninja, never packed a gun, and calls him Dusty Felix from the block. He said he doesn't talk about Cuban unless he's replying to stuff Cuban says. He says Cuban been going at him for 23 years and that's a lifetime, and people change and that Cuban don't know him anymore. Tony claims that in the past 12-13 years he's helped put people in touch with Cuban to book him for shows or interviews to get him money. And here's the most crazy thing he said. He said, I weigh 198 pounds solid and I will break your effing jaw. So let's break this down. Now previously I thought the first clip sounded like they were talking for an interview, but in this new clip Tony does say I can't talk this way on the internet. I don't want to alert the feds or implicate myself. So that's confirmation this was a private conversation. Warpath also indicated that he had recorded the conversation and released it without Tony's knowledge. You guys can hear the audio for yourselves. I included the link in the description. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Put your thoughts down in the comments and make sure you like and subscribe and stay connected with Panda Chop News. Peace!